Hello and welcome to Toilet Topics. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing Game of Thrones, Episode 5, Eastwatch. In today's episode, we kind of jumped around to many different areas in Westeros, so let's kind of jump into it. First, we kind of have the aftermath of last week's episode. Jaime and Bronn are still alive, which is good in my opinion. So they kind of come out of that river, and they're kind of sitting there bantering, pretty much saying, Jaime's like, I gotta warn Cersei, and Bronn's like, you can't die. And, what were you thinking? You still have to pay me back. So they had some good back and forth. And then we kind of shoot over to Dany, and she's like pretty much saying like, if you bend the knee now, I'll let you live, but if you don't, I'm gonna burn you alive, pretty much. Some soldiers do. Dickon and Randall, of course, do not. And then she offers them one last chance. And even Tyrion tries to get him to like go to the wall, like, hey, let him take the black, go up there in exile, but he refuses that as well, and she pretty much burns them, and then the rest of the soldiers just kind of like bend the knee and like pretty much say that they'll serve her, and this brought up an interesting point later in the episode where we have Tyrion and Varys talking about how she's acting kind of like her father in the sense of like, hey, if someone doesn't follow me or do what I say, I'm just gonna burn them. So it's kind of like I understand why she did it, but I have fear that like with Varys and Tyrion kind of losing potential faith in her, it I don't know how that's going to end up for her. Because she's one of our fan favorites. She's been one of mine. So I really hope it doesn't take us down a road where she might not necessarily be overthrown, but like maybe there's going to be some tension in there that might cause some issues later down the road for her. And then we kind of get Jaime. He gets to where Cersei was. He's pretty much saying like what happened. How they're still trying to calculate how many men they lost. I thought they lost most of their army, but it's not clear, I guess, how much they lost. And then she's pretty much saying we're gonna fight until we she's I feel like she has the attitude of I know I'm probably gonna lose, but I'm not gonna just lay down and die. I'm gonna like fight to the last breath, and then probably make this very painful and difficult for everyone involved. So I think when it comes to her, it's not going to be easy for Dany or anyone, and who knows, she might end up trying to blow up all of King's Landing. Who knows? So she is kind of, I feel like, losing it. We also learned, surprisingly, I was very shocked that she's actually pregnant. And she's going to say it's Jaime's, and she doesn't care who knows, and it's just like I was really shocked that we learned that. So a couple things. I don't think well, I guess it makes me think two things, two possibilities for her future. One, she doesn't, survive probably the rest of this season and she's wiped off the board. Or two, somehow she either goes into exile or escapes and then, has this son. And then maybe she dies in childbirth or something to that effect. So, of course, there could be multiple possibilities in regards to that, but it just seems kind of strange that she would get pregnant again and just for her to lose it. But who knows? This show is very soul crushing, so it could be just another, um, you know, hit on us or hit on her, I should say. Like if she almost has the kid and then dies or something happens to the baby. So I guess we'll find out definitely in the episodes to come. Let's. And then we kind of have Jaime tell her that about Joffrey, how it was Olenna who hit the final blow, and she's pretty much like angry that Jaime let her off so easily with just the poison. She would want to torture her, and he pretty much retorts back, we've killed their entire house. I don't think we need to worry anymore about them. What we need to worry about is Dany. We shoot back over to Dany. She's riding in on her dragon. At first, when I first saw the scene, you see kind of Jon just looking out on the horizon. You see a dragon flying towards them, and I'm thinking, because a lot of the fan theories are saying that he's like, gonna be riding a dragon soon. That so he might be one might be coming to him, because he can sense that the dragon can sense it, the Targaryen blood in him, and instead it's actually Dany riding Drogon. She flies. I think she's trying to intimidate him, but then I think the dragon can sense like what Jon is, and then he reaches out and touches the dragon, and they have like that kind of like warm embrace, and the dragon flies off, and she's like, they're quite beautiful, and he's like, that's not the first word that comes to my mind. She kind of gives him a look. So it's this episode had a lot of back and forth between characters, which I really enjoyed, when they can add in that humor even though there's such a serious threat looming on the horizon. I like how we can have those little moments of banter that really lighten up the episode. We see Jorah Mormont return to service. This was a good moment. They kind of have that embrace. I really wasn't thinking he was going to survive the grayscale. So that was, really awesome that we actually got to see him come back. Unfortunately, for us and for him, I think he might not be long for this world just because he decides to join Jon with his quest to go beyond the wall. So what we got going on here is he's still trying to convince Dany to come with him to help him fight the Night King. And I should bring up that earlier in the episode we see Bran sending out the ravens, and he sees the army of the dead, and it's like this huge army with the Night King. So there's definitely a threat, and we need everyone believing that this is a threat to go up there and fight that and stop that. So he's trying to convince Dany, and they're trying to convince Cersei as well, because Dany's fear is if I come help you, Cersei's going to move in and take all the land that I've taken. So we kind of need like an armistice, pretty much, signed or like agreed upon, where like, hey, we're not necessarily at peace, but we're not going to be warring while we're fighting the Night of the Dead. So Jon's idea, and what Tyrion says as well, is, hey, y'all go up there, get just one soldier, bring them back down to King's Landing, and hopefully we can broker some kind of peace in the interim. And then we see that scene where Tyrion and Jaime see each other. It's been many seasons since they've talked, so that was a good scene. And then we have Jaime and Cersei talking again, and she's pretty much tells them about the pregnancy and everything, but also says never betray me again. So I feel like definitely, I don't know, it just, Cersei's very venomous, and I know a lot of the things of the prophecy has already happened. She's already lost all her children, and another part of the prophecy was one of her brothers was going to murder her. So I'm thinking she might even take out Jaime, who knows, or Tyrion, or both of them. So I'm not sure what the future holds for House Lannister, but I have a feeling it's going to not end well for several of the members. And then we also have Davos getting with Gendry, meeting up with him again. He's, of course, still doing the blacksmith stuff. He has that huge hammer. I like the callbacks, from Robert, his father. So, he's like, I'm not good with a sword, but I'm good with this. We get that awesome scene of him, like, almost playing whack-a-mole with those guards and just, like, smashing their heads. So I think he's going to be a great addition back to the show. I'm looking forward to him and Jon's kind of connection. We got that vibe when they first meet. Davos is saying, "Hey, just tell him this is your name. You're not anyone. You just want to serve him." And right off the bat, he says, "Hey, I'm Robert's bastard son. I think we should work together." And then Davos is just kind of like looking like, I don't know why I live so long to the ripe old age, and you young people are just doing all this crazy stuff. So it was a good moment, and there seemed to be some banter, and it just kind of makes me think, like, we never saw this in the show, but just how Ned and Robert like fought in Robert's Rebellion, how they probably acted with each other. And I think Jon and Gendry are going to have that similar dynamic, and I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. And speaking of that, he decides to go with Jon beyond the wall with the Brotherhood Without Banners, Jorah Mormont, and this is kind of where we get most of the scenes with Eastwatch, where they're kind of like going beyond. And I have a bad feeling that next episode we're going to lose quite a bit of people. I think Jon's definitely going to make it back, and the Hound and Gendry, but I think Jorah, the Wildlings, and the rest of the Brotherhood Without Banners might not be making it back, just because it's like a small group. I think what, like maybe like 15 to 20 guys. You know, what I don't know what they hope to accomplish. I think maybe they're going to try to get one of the ones on the periphery and try to just capture him, but I think it's going to be very difficult with. And I think this might actually maybe even lead the Night King to even like cross the wall some kind of way. So who knows? I just it's a bad idea. I don't know why John's doing it. I know why he's doing it, but it's like, why, John? Don't do this. Why? Why? Um, let's see. What else we got here? Um, oh, okay. Some other kind of key things that happened in the episode. We have Sam's kind of rant as Gilly's kind of reading them off, like, about the Targaryens and everything like that. And it was very interesting. It mentions something about Rhaegar, who's Dany's brother and presumably Jon's father. I feel like that was not by accident. So there's definitely, it's starting to kindle right there. Unfortunately, we have Jon going to Eastwatch, not back to Winterfell, so we don't have Bran the opportunity to tell him that. But it has to come this season. I have a feeling it might not come maybe until the season finale, which is not too far away. So I don't know how that's gonna affect the show, but it's definitely gonna have some kind of impact. And hopefully we'll see Jon riding on a dragon and doing some burning of the Night King and his undead army. That would be pretty awesome to watch. And then we kind of have Arya and Littlefinger. Arya is very suspicious of this man, and Littlefinger receives a scroll from the Maester. I believe what it said on the scroll was pretty much like Jon Snow's autopsy report that was done by another Maester who was there, or a coroner or something to that effect. Because it said something like Jon and something about his injuries. It was really quick when it like flipped back. So I might try to freeze that or something later when I go back and just kind of see what it said. Maybe get a more insight on what's going through Littlefinger's mind. And then Arya kind of breaks in, sees that note and everything. But, we see Littlefinger almost wanted her to. So I'm not sure what game he's playing. I think he's trying to divide everyone. We see him talking to the different lords that are staying in Winterfell. So I think he's trying to make it very chaotic while Jon's away. Sansa is probably going to lose control and ask for his help. And that's when he's maybe going to take over. I think his key is probably to marry her and somehow get onto the Iron Throne. So I don't know if he's going to accomplish that, or maybe Arya might be getting rid of him pretty quickly, maybe next couple episodes. So overall, it was a great episode. Here I'm going to jump into some predictions I have potentially for next week. I think we're going to see definitely more stuff beyond the wall of Jon and his group. I think, like I said earlier, we're probably going to lose most of his party. I think him, Gendry, and then probably the Hound are going to make it back. I think, unfortunately, we might lose everyone else. I'm hoping we don't, but I just have a feeling we've had some deaths this season, but we haven't had any real big ones yet. And with only 2 more episodes left, I think we're definitely going to see the axe fall on some heads next episode. I also feel like Cersei's going to use, she knows that Dany's kind of worried about the North potentially, so she might use this to her advantage. She might hire that Golden Army, I believe it's called, or the Golden Company, I believe. It's like like 10,000 really strong mercenaries. I think she might try to hire them and get them over to just protect King's Landing. And then I think just Arya and Littlefinger and Winterfell are going to cause a big thing. I think Sam leaving the Citadel was pretty big. He'll probably go up to Winterfell or Castle Black and then learn the truth of what happened to his family. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. And Jon trying to work with Dany. It's just all these webs of people that are interconnected, and how this person killed this father, or this person killed this family member, how that's going to affect the show. And Jon has a very straightforward attitude of hey, this is our threat. Let's get the threat and worry about everything else later. So we'll see if that happens. But if there's anything else that I missed, please let me know. Until next time, this is Toilet Topics.